All right. This is, oh, wait, what was wrong with this? Hang on, it's pointing at me. I don't want it pointed at me. How do I was pointing at Heidi. Okay. I hate phones. All right, so here's Heidi. No, just relax. Heidi, relax. Okay. Sorry, she decided to get busy as soon as I said hi. So here's my wife. We're going to do a sort of a tour of the shop since we haven't done one in quite some time. We've got Audrey hiding over in the corner. Hello, Audrey. So what we're going to do is walk around. Normally we would have this room filled with people, but obviously with everything that's going on today with the coronavirus, we're trying to sort of do our part. So we've postponed what was supposed to be the first tour of the season. So here is the malt shop for those of you who haven't seen it. It's just filled with all sorts of crap, and almost all of it is original, authentic. There's almost no reproduction stuff anywhere in the shop. So we'll just do a quick, so we don't have 50 people to walk around with, but I'll just show you some of the cool things. Our front doors are actually out of like an 1880. They're a very cool oak front door from an 1880, what do you call it? Like an apothecary. And then this is our bathroom. So the bathroom is hidden behind the bookshelves. That way we hide it from people so they don't get to pee in our shop because they don't know where it is. Here's a wall filled with memorabilia. Again, just lots of cool stuff. There is one somewhere in here, yeah. Always keep linens off the floors. Back when this place was National Linen and World War II, they had all these signs, keep stuff off the floor. Hang on, Audrey's running away. Here we go. I'm going to take you into our cool little kitchen just because we're going to do a tour. We're going to go see all the cars, but I want to sort of give you an idea. We've got a kitchen straight out of the 1950s. Everything is original. Everything works beautifully. You can see the countertops are all porcelain. The stove is porcelain. The refrigerator matches. It was actually quite a lot of work to restore this 70-year-old kitchen. And it is used today quite extensively. It's used every single day here. All right, Harley Davidsons. No shop is complete without a series of Harley Davidsons. And so let's go to some cars. Okay, I'm not doing that. All right, so here's our first car. This one is actually going to go into the paint shop next week, only because the coves here are getting painted the white, an ermine white, and then the hubcaps go on it. This has been quite an interesting project. That, yes, I apologize, it's got dust on it, but it's a very, very original 1958 Corvette. It is an original Fuelie, but the owner wanted the addition of power brakes, power steering, and a few other more modern conveniences. And now we're just going to do a little bit of paint work to sort of personalize it for him. But I expect that car to be leaving here in about a week or so. In here, I have no idea. I'm convinced the coronavirus has infected my phone. So here's one of our many 63 Corvettes. That's actually waiting to ship home here. I understand it in about 2 weeks. Another 63 Corvette. As far as I'm concerned, you cannot have too many 63 Corvettes. But let me see if I can get someone to agree to that. Now, this is Mike Fessler. And yesterday he had his testicles removed. Or no, it was Monday. He had his. So how does it feel to sort of be, you know, to be swinging for the other team, buddy?
Sterility. I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Still accepting it.
So Mike's kind of dealing with it. So what's really fun is we practice sort of whapping him. And it makes him flinch especially hard these days. So
payback time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, someday I'll have something bad happen to me, and then Mike will screw with me. But Mike screws with me every single day anyway. All right. So this is one of the projects that Mike is working on. There's the hard top for it, and this is we call it a Jag that runs. So this is a 1975, or is it 4?
4.
Okay, 4. I can't tell the difference between 74 and 75 Jag E-Type. But what we've done here is we've hand built a burl walnut dash for it. Of course, painted it an incredibly rich British racing green. The floors are Dynamat. The engine, and I know, sacrilegious to those of you who are E-Type fanatics, but the engine is an LS3. The transmission is now a 4L60, and let me tell you, this car is just about on the verge of being scary to drive. It is so much faster than it was with the V12 in it. So Enzo Ferrari was the man who, after Jaguar had produced the E-Type, called the E-Type the most beautiful car in the world. And I got to tell you, I would have to agree with Mr. Enzo Ferrari on that one. The E-Type is just breathtaking. This is kind of a fun project. This was my father's 1937 Buick. It's been shot, but right now we are waiting to assemble it, and that's kind of my task. At some point I'll get around to it. Now, hang on, we've got Josh here. What, Josh, you can't leave? So what you got here? Give me a quick rundown on what you're working on.
Basically, this is a 1950 F100 Ford. We're redoing pretty much everything electrical on it, all new interior. I just finished up wiring the electronic door poppers, so you got remote access to open your doors, no more door handles. Next few minutes, probably be checking that out, see if it works, and continue on with the electrical.
Okay, so when we do electrical, let me make sure you understand. It looks like spaghetti in there, like multicolored spaghetti, and it will look like that for a little while. But this truck belongs to some gentlemen out in Texas, I believe San Antonio. And again, more heresy, but it is an LS3 in a Ford. And this is one of those where, what is it? Ford makes it and Chevy shakes it. So we've got an LS3. It's also got super advanced electronic braking. This truck will get you out of trouble as fast as it gets you into trouble. So are you having fun with this, Josh, or is this the kind of thing that you would rather like beat your head against the wall than wire these sorts of vehicles?
It's really not bad at all.
Okay,
you
very
get
cool.
to do your own wiring instead of trying to go back and fix somebody else's problems. So
Yeah.
we can do it right this time.
Yeah, so right from scratch. Very cool. All right, thank you, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Now, hang on. I'm gonna stop Mike Fessler. He's feeling a little better right now. Mike, what is it that you're working on right at the moment? Hey, and hang on. Audrey is sort of writing down some of these questions, and I will start answering your questions. I know we've received hundreds already in the last 10 minutes. Audrey's going to hit me up with a few of them, just a few. So what you working on, Mike?
Mocking up this underdash AC.
Oh, that's right. So of course, with an LS3 Jag, you have to have air conditioning in a convertible. This is one of those things that if it were up to me, I would never ever see air conditioning in a convertible in my whole life, but I know a lot of people love it, so we do it here. This is a very cool car. This is, of course, a little Austin Healey. Absolutely magnificent little car. We're just about finished with it. A little bit of dust on it just because of those darn coal trains. But this car is getting ready to pretty much go home. We've just finished up a leather interior in it. It's pretty hard to see, but it's got a leather interior in it. We did the top. We did a bunch of repairs on it. It was not a full rebuild. It was just a car that we sort of had to finish up a bunch of details. We've got a Buick that is also just about ready to go home. Oh, just a couple quick ones here that are kind of fun. A 53 Chevy pickup 5-window that the engine is actually supposed to be on its way here right now. So that is going to come together very quickly. And then this is one of my favorite science projects. This, everybody would look at it and say, well, that's a T-top 1972 Corvette. Actually, it's not. When you look very closely, you will notice that there is a fine line between the top and the car, that is actually a Roadster. So that top comes off completely, and you have a perfect convertible underneath. The single only one in the world. Hang on, Audrey, come on over here. Okay, you guys, I need somebody to like ask why Audrey doesn't stick closer, because she like hides in the corner. So Audrey, why are you hiding?
Because the video is off, and so it's a different, like right now I'm watching that.
Okay. So apparently she's saying the reason she's hiding is because the video is out of sequence with what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm not sure that I believe her.
I
Oh,
have to watch the comments.
hang on. And so here is our wall of engines. We have everything up here from small block Chevys to flathead Cadillacs to straight six, Fords and Chevys, Cobra, more small blocks. Here's a Copo 427 aluminum ZL1 motor. This space right here was occupied by our 426 Hemi. It's out being built right now. 396 Chevy. I'm sorry, this is our 396 Chevy. Forgive me for that. That's our that's another 350. So we just have lots of engines everywhere. Now, this is our newest employee. Hang on, we're gonna go say hi. And what's your name, sir?
Zach Short.
Hang on, you got to look at the camera. What's your name?
Zach Short.
Zach Short. Okay, so Zachary is he's 16, and actually he spent most of the day yesterday and the day before working on what cars?
63 Corvettes.
Okay, so Zachary's actually becoming an expert on 63 Corvettes, but today he's just actually this afternoon only, he's helping us clean up a little bit as we sort of get ready for the next car to come into the booth. Just working on cleaning guns here. Hang on. So just painted truck in the booth. There's some running boards for it. And let's come in here and see what the guys are working on in the body shop. Now, to me, this is what every body shop in the world should look like. That is a 63 Corvette fuel-injected car. That is a, Wayne, what is this?
63 convertible.
A 63 Corvette convertible. Which configuration is it? Do you remember? Do you care? Okay. This is a 4-speed 327 340 horse configuration. So it was the second most powerful Corvette available in 1963. David, what are you working on? David, do you have to use so many words when you talk?
No.
No? Okay. You can't shut the man up. You say one word to him and he just doesn't stop. So, David, are you having any fun?
Yeah. Just prepping some parts for when we go to assemble some things later on down the road.
Okay, so what did you do, let's see, all of yesterday and all of the day before?
Stripping that one, getting it ready.
Okay, so this is a car. Belongs to a man named Tom. I won't give out any last names, but we did call this car, what's the nickname this car had? The Turd. And the reason it got the nickname the Turd is that somebody did the world's worst bodywork to it and then painted it brown, and it wasn't even a nice brown paint job. It looked like it was painted with a brush. And so you can see we've got some body damage back here that we're gonna take care of. Right now Wayne is working on the gaps. He's already made these gaps much nicer. You can see the door gap already beautiful. The car is stripped down. What you're seeing there is raw fiberglass. There's a little bit of the brown left we haven't yet cleaned out. Underneath the hood inserts, you can see there's still a little bit of stripping to do along the hood. And right now, Wayne, show me your little gap tool there. Okay, so what did you make that from?
2 shims.
Okay, so those are body shims. You welded them together?
Yeah.
And what do you use that shim for?
I basically just stick it into the gap like that, and if it's too tight, I'll mark the side, and that tells me how much I need to take off.
Okay. And if it's too loose?
If it's too loose, then we're going to have to add metal, or in this case, Duraglass to widen it out, or fiberglass.
Okay. All right. So Wayne is perfecting the gaps on the car. David right now is working on trim. We just removed the windshield base trim, and you can see there's still the brown paint that has not yet been stripped. So guess what you're going to be doing on Monday, Davey? Audrey, David says he's going to be stripping on Monday. Okay, everybody has to keep their clothes on because of the coronavirus. All right, so here in the body shop, we have our third car. Now, Audrey, you're going to tell us about this car. What is it? Yeah.
Split window.
It's a 63 split window. What configuration?
Fuel injected.
Okay, so this is a... All right, my phone keeps shutting off. I apologize. So this is a fuel-injected coupe. You can see somebody painted it teal, and we don't know why. So you can see it's been pretty much gutted. We've already prepped the floors in this car. And so this car is continuing to go through the stripping process. Notice how nicely that door closes. You can see there's a little bit of glass work done here. And if you look at the gaps on this car, the gaps on this car are almost surgically perfect. Everything about it. Now, here, this is the R is for reveal. We've got about a 1/16 of an inch reveal issue that the door is actually higher than the part of the roof that connects to the A-pillar. So we're basically going to work this side up and bring it even. The reason you can't cut the door down is that the glass on the door is only 1/8 of an inch thick. And when you start sanding into 1/8 of an inch fiberglass, you end up cutting through it very, very quickly. All right, so we're entering into the metal shop, and I'm just going to stop you right here. Audrey, what is this Camaro right here? Speak up.
Your first Camaro.
My first what?
Your first car.
My first car. This is my first car. Now, for those of you who, let me see if I can, this is a, my buddy Flash did a bunch of artwork on the glass for me. Yep, there's no engine in it. It was stolen. Oh, there you go. Body and restoration by Dan. Paint and artwork by Flash. And you can see there's kind of a cool couple pieces of art. That's a Camaro convertible drag racing this coupe. Of course, the coupe is going to win. Oh, I have this window down. I have the window down, and it's a shame because we've got the entire Led Zeppelin 4 album cover done in this window. All right, so hang on. I'm going to go over to Andy. Andy today is working on a farm truck. Now, what's particularly cool about this farm truck is the history. The family that brought it in here has owned this farm truck since the day it was brand new in 1950. And so, like you can see here, obviously it's not ready to drive. There's no oil in the differential. The chassis is being restored, a lot of body work going into it. It was very strong, but we had a little bit of scale in it. Andy right now preparing our cowl vent assemblies. Andy, what can you tell us about this truck?
It's old.
It's old. Well, that pretty much says it all. How old is it?
About 7 years or so.
But
1950 big ass farm truck, so it's heavy duty, it's a classic. I like it.
Yeah. So what's different between the commercial series like this one and the regular 3100? Because you just finished the 3100 before you started this one.
Right.
So what's the difference?
I guess everything from the firewall forward and the frame. I mean, this one's heavy duty, so you go from trailing small piles of dirt to big piles of dirt all over the farmland. So I think that's the biggest component.
Yeah. So are you enjoying working on these trucks?
Yeah. They are quite fun to work on when they're, the cars themselves are like bubble shaped,
Yeah.
It's quicker and easier when they're flat, but I mean, it's a classic Chevy,
Yeah, very cool. All right, so I'm just going to show you the dash. You can see it's mostly prepped. We're getting the vehicle prepped to go into the booth. So the chassis will actually go into the booth very shortly. Take a look here. These, watch out, Andy. Just to give you an idea, these wheels, all the wheel bearings have been redone. The brakes have been rebuilt. The suspension has been rebuilt. The leaf springs, the bumpers have been rebuilt. So basically, Andy is just sort of dialing in those last minute things And then next week and the week after, this truck will spend a lot of time in the paint booth. Just what he was talking about was everything forward of the firewall is different. So the hood, although it looks a lot like a 3100 series Chevy, it's actually about 4 inches longer. Same thing with the fenders. Now what Audrey is standing in right now is actually the huge bed of this truck, and it's a stake and pallet style bed. So you can see over here, these are the rebuilt original stakes. And yep, you can actually see we've got some filler in them. So we've tried to preserve the original wood in one version, and these, you can see this is the original wood with some filler. The wood that was too bad to be reused, we had to replace. All new hardware went on it everywhere. So this will get painted in about another 3 or 4 weeks and then mounted on that floor, and it'll pretty much be ready to mount back on the truck. Now, just a quick little stop at one of my favorite pet projects. This is an Aston Martin DB10 prototype clone, and that's pretty much what it's looking like. You can see the headlights are not cut in it yet. The one-piece front end functions beautifully. We widened the car by 7 inches, and we shortened the car by about 7 inches. So considerable work went into that car. We changed the dimensions of it drastically. All right, so Audrey, start reading me off a few questions that you need me to answer. Are we going to do another show? Audrey, tell me, would you like to do another show? No. Have we talked about doing another show?
Yes.
Have we been offered another show?
Yes.
Is Dan considering another show?
I'm scared, but I think so.
Okay, so the answer is maybe. All right, what's the next question?
Do you still have your S2000?
Yes, I actually do. David wanted my S2000. So there's a quick history there. David wanted my S2000, and my son wanted to sell me. I get all my leftover, my son's leftover cars. So I got my son's leftover S2000, and David got my S2000. So I still have a silver S2000. It's just a different one than I had, but it looks identical.
Mary Lou asked if that Aston Martin was yours.
Is the Aston Martin mine? It is. That's an interesting question. The answer is that's to be determined. Hang on, we got to stop here. I'm gonna stop here because this, now, hard to see on the video, but that's a 7/8 inch diameter front anti-sway bar. That is a 9-inch rear, or I'm sorry, a 7-leaf rear transverse spring. This is an actual chassis from a 1963 Z06 Corvette, and you can see it doesn't look great right now, but it will be going back together under a 1963 very impressive Corvette. All right, next question.
Do you own any vets?
Do I own any vets?
I'm not making this.
Okay, that's a silly question. Corvettes are the one car that when I was building my first car, my Camaro, a Corvette was a car that I could barely even dream of. And yes, life has been fairly good to me. Do I own a Corvette? Yes, I own more than one. My favorite being a 1963 Corvette split window coupe, 340 horse, 4-speed car. So yes, absolutely I own a couple of Corvettes. Hang on, I'm going to stop right here. This is the donor truck that we're using to build the farm truck. We've taken all the grill assemblies, we've taken parts from the inside, we took the valance panels from it, quite a few things from this truck are being used, the engine block, to build the farm truck that we've got in there. And that's the irony of building some of these vehicles. In the case of a 4100 series pickup, it was actually cheaper to buy another vehicle as a donor than it was to buy just the parts we needed. Next question.
How many square feet is your facility, but how big would you like it to be?
Oh, the shop right now, the bottom floor alone is 52,000 square feet. There is a lot of second floor on it, so there's probably another 5,000 square feet of second floor. So we're right at about 60,000 square feet with some other things we've done. How large would I like it to be? About 20,000 square feet. One more question and we'll go meet some more guys.
What branch of the military were you in?
Of course, Army. See, I knew who my parents were, so I was allowed to join the United States Army.
Well, we support all branches of the
We do
military.
support all
Thank you
branches.
for
We
your
love
service.
Marines. My dad was in the Air Force. My son was supposed to be Marine. My wife is in the United States Navy. So yeah, we support all branches. But because I knew who both of my parents were and could identify them in a lineup, I was allowed to join the United States Army. All right, so here is a 1932 Ford Roadster. Once again, hang on, Chris. What kind of motor, and you're going to have to speak up, what kind of motor is in our 32 Ford Roadster? You think it's, hang on. I want to make sure I understand this because, you see, Ford and Chris are in the same name. But what kind of engine is that in that 32 Ford?
That is a Chevrolet engine.
Ooh, once again, Ford makes it, Chevy shakes it, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. But you know, if Henry Ford did invent the small block Chevy.
Then Ford did invent the economical small block V8, though. He did invent the one-piece V8. But yeah, and I would actually give credit to the small block Chevy, mostly to Ford, because Ford pioneered the design. So
Yes.
can we agree that Chevy,
The Siamese port small block.
right? So Chevy
Ford
copied
engineered.
Ford, but I would have to argue, who do you think did it better?
I mean, Chevy did it like a bazillion times.
But who did it better?
That's debatable.
All right. So, Chris, tell me about this car you're working on.
64 GTO, 421, big block, triple carburetors, all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff you want on a GTO.
Okay, and what's been the problem with this motor since day one?
We have had multiple issues with this 421. Part of it's because it's a pretty oddball engine. This is a Royal Bobcat, and there was only a handful of these cars made with this size motor in it. So it's a bit shoehorned in there, really. And we've shoot it and unshoot it a few times.
Yeah, we have.
We've had rear main seal leaks, we've had low manifold vacuum, we've had, you know, poor running conditions,
Carburetors,
carburetors on a couple of occasions,
camshaft.
camshaft, poor manifold vacuums.
Yeah.
Cam worked great, but the carburetors hated it.
Yeah, the carburetors. So how many inches of mercury? And this is an important. So we're going to have our first little tech talk here. How many inches of mercury were we getting out of this camshaft?
5.
5. And how many inches of mercury do you need to correctly run a carburetor that you put on the street?
These carbs had to have a bare minimum of 8 inches. But really, we should be somewhere in the 15 to 19 range. Most power brake systems like 18 or better.
Yeah.
So if you're running vacuum brakes, you got to have 18 inches of mercury, or you're not going to stop very well.
But can you even, what about just vacuum advance and just tuning the motor? Can you tune a motor very well that's got 5 inches of mercury?
No, you can't tune it at all, really, and that was part of the problem. Is that although at wide open throttle this car was a beast, at closed throttle it was a pup, and it
Yeah.
would hard to get out of its own way, and nobody wants to stop and crank it at every corner
Right.
because the carbs don't want to idle.
So is it a good idea to mix match parts on an engine and try and put a strip engine on the street? Do you think that's a good idea?
No,
Yeah, it just doesn't work very well, does it?
no.
See, street engines are for the street and strip engines are for the strip, and you rarely have a good time when you try and meet,
Yeah.
mix the two up, right?
Yeah, and that's sort of what we fell into here. And there was a couple of head scratching moments on it. I think we got her figured out now. So
Yeah.
I'm ready to go ball the tires again.
All right, so he's getting ready to be done with that one. There's Audrey hiding. Now, we had an issue with this car. What was our primary issue with this car?
The suspension angles were off.
Close. Hang on. Let's. What was off? What were the
I'm
two?
not playing this game. Do you know?
Okay. She is not playing this game. We're going to go to Johnny to play this game. Johnny, what was the problem when you added the power steering rack to that car?
Not the problem I was expecting.
So what was the problem on the power steering rack on the 65 Mustang?
There were some huge geometry issues between the angles of the tie rod ends and the angle of the lower control arms.
How many degrees were we off?
I don't remember, but I suspect you do. 22?
22 degrees off. And how many degrees should you be off ideally?
Ideally, like 3, maybe 5 at the most.
Yeah, I think at 3 you're still somewhat happy. 0 is perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at 22 degrees, was that car happy at all?
No, it would change lanes over a speed bump within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it was actually incredibly dangerous to drive. So Johnny did all the upgrades on the car that the customer requested, took it out for a ride, and when he came back, he smelled kind of funny, had pee running down his legs, and we asked him what happened, and he just sort of pointed at the car. Is that about the way it went, Johnny?
Not exactly how I remember it, but pretty close. Hell, we can go for a test drive in it right now if you want.
Well,
That'd be a good Facebook Live thing.
well, yeah, I don't know if we can transmit through Facebook Live all the way out on the street. So,
That's a funny way of saying you're scared.
yeah, well, I am a little nervous of driving with you. So, what are you doing on this? We've got once again an LS inside a Chevy pickup. What are you working on here?
We had some issues with the steering system binding up, so I've gone through and replaced the steering shaft from the end of the column down to the rack. Actually, the steering column is now the only part of the system that the truck came in with. I've replaced the pump, the rack, the shaft, both the U-joints, added a stabilizer in there with a couple of Heim joints on it. It actually operates really, really smoothly now.
So, what was the problem with the steering on this truck?
The universal joints were overextended, and it was actually causing a bind between the two yokes. And what would happen is every half turn of the wheel, you'd feel a big stiff spot, and then it would go back past it again, and there'd be another stiff spot every half turn.
So, let me ask you, have you discovered that geometry is rather important when you're building a vehicle?
Yeah, you know, for a guy that took 4 years of remedial fucking math in high school, I seem to be doing all right with it.
All right, so we have discovered at Phantom Works that math is important. All right, so we're working on several others. There's a Ferrari GT365, ironically another 63 Corvette. We've got a 69 Camaro up there. Now, what motor do we have in that? Is that a 572?
That one?
Yeah. Oh no, wait a second. The 572 is in our black 69. And our LS is in our orange 69. That's right. Yeah, I get Camaros.
I know, there's so many of them, it can be confusing.
Yeah, I get them screwed up sometimes. All right, couple more questions, and then we'll answer one final going away question. So,
Do you work on motorcycles?
do we work on motorcycles? Sometimes, depends on the motorcycle, and the biggest problem with motorcycles is I call it the residual value issue. I like not putting more than double the value into a vehicle for fairly obvious reasons. It just isn't financially smart. And there aren't a lot of motorcycles that sort of pass that test. And since they don't pass the test, I prefer not to take people's money for doing something when I can't sort of make it mathematically, 2 and 2 sort of have to add up to 4.
Willing to work on a 79 Fiat Spider?
1979 Fiat Spider, I'm afraid not. It's in this, once you get into the late 70s, you've got a lot of emission problems. The late 70s cars, actually, most of the engineering done on the emission systems was poor engineering, and getting parts for it is tough. So, yeah, I would actually pass on a 79 Fiat.
How long have I worked for you?
Ooh, how long have you worked for me?
10 years.
Well, actually, it's more. Yeah, so we're at 10 and a half now, aren't we?
Just about.
10 and a half years, yeah. So people ask me all the time, how do you put up with her?
No, they don't.
They don't?
No.
What do they ask?
How I am still here.
It's because, as Chris said the other day, I am so even-tempered. I am just. That is right. So see, these guys, they couldn't agree more. So, all right.
Do you think we're going going to close over COVID-19?
Well, we're going to stay open. Right now, we've got work in the shop. We've got customers paying their bills. We've got guys that are coming to work, and no one at the shop has been sick. So, okay. So Audrey's going to be a comedian, by the way. Another, only this one's a 65. Another C2 Corvette. But yes, we're going to stay open. Look, if something happens and you know, the United States government comes out and says you got to shut down for a while, then we'll do it. But right now, I have no reason to shut down, and I'm looking to stay open.
There's too much stuff to do closed down.
We do, don't we?
We got way too much stuff.
Yeah, we got work in here for, I would say work for days, except the reality is we have work for months. Yeah, so we have work to do for months. There's a couple guys you didn't see today. Mike Mojica was hiding somewhere.
Did you see the detail job he did on the Cougar?
Okay, oh, that's right. Let's go close out with the Cougar. We've got a car that we're delivering on Monday. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. These guys are talking to me, but they're just busting my chops about something. Hang on. We're walking through our machine shop. We don't have anybody permanently stationed in our machine shop, but there's our ArcLight Dynamics plasma table, mills, lathes. This is our, I call it the sign shop. We have lots of jukeboxes. The wood shop, hang on. Let me just show you the project that's going on right now. You'll see big chunks of white oak everywhere. These are all the piles of oak that are being cut and milled for our 1950 farm truck. Actually, one more real quick. Trying to finish up. We've got a little bit of paint work to do, and then this one goes home. We're going to come into the bike shop. Here is a 1929 Harley Davidson JD. You can see the sidecar has been completely rebuilt. It is mounted. We're just waiting to get a wheel and hub assembly put together so we can actually verify that everything works, and then that vehicle will be going home. 1929 is the oldest motorcycle we've ever worked on in here. Of course, I'm looking for an old JJ. I believe 1918 JJ is the configuration that very cool, and if we find one, we're going to bring it in here. Okay, she found Mojica. Where is Mojica? Is he? Oh, he's working on. All right, so let's just see what Mr. Mike Mojica is doing. This is Mike. Do you know what this car is?
69 Cougar.
A 69 Cougar. Which model?
It's a XLR, I think.
Isn't it the XR7?
XR7. Yeah.
Okay, something like that. All right. So what are you doing to it today?
Cleaning it all up, getting ready to get the owner visit.
And
Come see it.
And when's the owner coming in?
Monday.
Monday. So what's cool about this car is it's been owned by the original owner since the day it was new, and it's got a very interesting motor in it. It's a Ford FE that is a 390. Only on this particular 390, it's got 428 Super Cobra jet heads on it. And what that means is this is the fastest 390 we have ever had in the shop by a long shot. This car just runs like a scalded darn dog. I mean, it is a pretty impressive machine. So this car, I mean, the paint just jumps out at you. All original. Everything's original about this car, right down to hubcaps, wheels, color of the roof, color of the interior, dash, everything. In fact, there's only one modification to the entire car. Do you remember what that is? It's a radiator. So,
Yeah.
Yep, we put in an aftermarket radiator. That was something that was the customer's request. And other than that, there is nothing unoriginal about this car. All right.
West Coast Cougar was awesome.
Oh, right. West Coast Cougar. Boy, they came through with a ton of parts for us. In fact, pretty much almost every single piece of trim on this car, and I got to tell you, it is breathtakingly beautiful. West Coast Cougar did the restoration on every piece of trim on this car. So very, very nice. Yep, our thanks go out to them. So hey, look, folks, we know that AutoZone right now They're staying open. We've got a lot of our vendors staying open, and we're going to continue to build cars. Hey, as long as our customers are willing to come in, our employees come in, and our parts suppliers deliver. So Napa's still delivering, and Finish Master's delivering, and AutoZone is delivering, and FedEx and UPS and the United States Post Office continue to deliver. So we're actually in really good shape right now, and we plan on, we'll keep to ourselves. We have stopped the process of running out onto the streets to lick people's palms, to pass any viruses along. So we're trying to be good there. One last question, and we're going to call this one done.
All right, let's see what the last question. What's the age requirement for working with you guys? As far
Ooh, what's the age requirement? Audrey, I'm going to let you address that, since you deal with the employees more than I do.
I don't want any more. So no more. No, it honestly depends on your skill set. Johnny's not that old, and he's our TIG welder and great as a mechanic. And then you've got Mojica, who can detail a car like nobody's business. But then you've got like Mike and Josh, who do the electrical, that I don't consider that old. So I mean, it all depends on your skill set, not really your age.
Okay, so Zachary is 16 and he's working here, and he's actually doing a fairly good job.
Yes.
We haven't fired him yet, and do I need to emphasize the word yet? Okay, so hey folks, thanks so much for hanging in there with us. Wait a second, but we need to look at his face. This is my son, and look at this. This is his red badge of courage. I'm not sure if he did that deliberately, but he's got dirt all over him. Are you having a fun day today?
So much fun.
So much fun. He is always so upbeat. He is just so. He needs something to do. All right, so I've got to go get him back to work, folks. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I know it's been well, it's been a long one. We've been with you for 50 minutes or something like that. So
About 45.
okay, 45 minutes, folks. One last quick look at the amazing shop: the airplanes, the cars, the trucks, the motorcycles. Oh, the boats. 5 hydroplanes hanging from the air, all with the number 35E from a racer here locally in town, who raced all through the 50s and 60s. And right now they're on display here in the shop in the ceiling. Signs everywhere. Just a really cool place to hang out. And folks, thanks so much for being with us. And we will try and do this again in just a couple of weeks. And stay safe from COVID-19, and Godspeed.